On June 14th at 3:47 p.m., I sat in a couples therapy office in downtown Portland and watched my wife's face drain of color as I connected my laptop to the projector, the same projector she'd sat in front of for 5 sessions, crying about how disconnected we'd become, while I stayed silent and nodded along like the good husband she needed me to be. If you've got some time and maybe something to drink, settle in. This one's long, and it doesn't have a clean ending, but it's real, every word of it. So why did I wait 5 weeks and 6 therapy sessions before I said anything? That's the question everyone asks. Why sit there week after week listening to her perform? The answer is simple. I needed to be sure. I needed evidence so airtight that she couldn't lie her way out of it. And I needed a witness. This is a story about thinking you know someone completely only to discover you've been living with a stranger. It's about a marriage that looked perfect from the outside, a double life that lasted 8 months, and a 47-slide presentation that ended everything in less than 5 minutes. It's about revenge that didn't feel as good as I thought it would, and healing that took longer than I expected. But mostly, it's about my daughter, Emma, and making sure she'd be okay when the dust finally settled. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Sarah Porter at a wedding when I was 25. I was a groomsman, she was a bridesmaid, and if you've ever been to one of those weddings where the wedding party gets drunk and hooks up, you know how these stories start. Except ours didn't end after one night. We talked until 4 in the morning. She was studying real estate. I was working as a junior accountant at a mid-size firm. She was ambitious, driven, funny. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I thought I'd won the lottery. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. Got married at 27 and 25, respectively. Young, maybe, but we were sure. The wedding was intimate. 80 people, mostly family and close friends. Honeymoon in Maui. We bought a house in the Portland suburbs a year later, a modest 3-bedroom, 2-bath that felt enormous at the time. Life was good, better than good actually. We were building something. Emma came along in year 6 of our marriage. 6 pounds, 8 ounces, born on March 22nd at 2:13 in the morning after 19 hours of labor. I cut the cord with shaking hands, and Sarah looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, "We made a person, Ryan." That was the happiest day of my life. I genuinely believed nothing could top it. For the next few years, we were busy. Sarah went back to work after 4 months, dove headfirst into real estate, and within 2 years, she was one of the top agents at her firm. I was proud of her. She was crushing it. I'd taken on more responsibilities at work too, senior accountant by then, and between Emma's daycare, preschool, and eventually kindergarten, we were in that constant state of organized chaos that all parents know. But we were happy. At least I thought we were. Looking back, I can pinpoint when things started to shift. Year 9 of our marriage. Sarah's career really took off. She started doing more networking events, client dinners, weekend open houses. I didn't think much of it. Real estate is a hustle, right? You work when the clients are available. She'd come home late, exhausted, sometimes smelling like wine from a client dinner or cologne from a crowded event. I'd ask how her day was, she'd give me a quick summary, and we'd go to bed. Our sex life slowed down. It happens, people say. You've got a kid, you're both working, you're tired. We went from 2 or 3 times a week to once a week, then every other week, then I stopped keeping track. When I'd try to initiate, she'd say she was exhausted or had an early morning. I felt rejected, but I told myself it was temporary. We'd reconnect eventually. We always did. Then came year 10, January of this year. That's when everything accelerated, though I didn't see it yet. Sarah became distant in a way that felt different from just being busy. She was physically present, but mentally somewhere else. She'd spend hours on her phone, angled away from me. When I'd walk into a room, she'd quickly switch apps or lock the screen. I noticed, but I didn't say anything. I'm conflict avoidant by nature. I hate confrontation, so I just absorbed it. One night in late January, she sat me down at the kitchen table after Emma went to bed. She looked serious, almost nervous. "Ryan," she said, "I think we need help." My stomach dropped. "Help? Like, what kind of help?" "Couples therapy," she said. "I feel like we're drifting apart, like we're roommates, not partners. I want to fix this before it's too late." I didn't think we needed therapy. Sure, things were a little stale, but we weren't fighting. We still had family dinners on weekends. We still loved each other, right? But Sarah looked so earnest, so concerned that I agreed. Because that's what you do when your wife says she wants to work on the marriage. You say yes. She already had a therapist picked out. Dr. Rebecca Hayes, a marriage counselor she'd found online. Wednesdays at 3 p.m., downtown Portland office, nice building with a view of the Willamette River. We went to our first session in early February. Dr. Hayes was exactly what you'd picture. Warm, professional, mid-40s, the kind of person who makes you feel safe enough to spill your guts. Sarah cried in that first session, talked about feeling disconnected, unappreciated, like I didn't really see her anymore. I sat there, stunned, and apologized. I promised to do better. Dr. Hayes gave us homework, 15-minute daily check-ins, date night once a week. I left feeling hopeful but confused. Had I really been that oblivious? For the next month, I tried. God, I tried. I came home early from work. I planned date nights, nice dinners, movies, even a weekend trip to Cannon Beach. I asked Sarah about her day every single evening, sat across from her at the kitchen table while Emma colored at the counter, and genuinely listened. And you know what? She got worse, more distant, more secretive. She'd check her phone during dinner and make excuses to leave the room for work calls. That's when I started to realize something was off. Not wrong exactly, but off. Like a song playing in a key that's almost right, but not quite. Then came the second and third therapy sessions. Sarah continued the performance. That's what it was, I realize now, a performance. She'd cry about how I didn't listen, how I prioritized work, how she felt alone in the marriage. And I'd sit there, taking it, because I thought maybe she was right. Maybe I had been checked out. Dr. Hayes would nod sympathetically and suggest more communication exercises, more intentional time together. Meanwhile, Sarah's phone would buzz constantly during sessions. She'd ignore it, but I could see her hands twitch every time. She wanted to check it. She needed to check it. It all came apart in mid-March on a random Thursday morning. I'd taken Emma to school early that day. She had a field trip and needed to be there by 7:30. I forgot my laptop at home and had a client meeting at 9, so I doubled back. Sarah's car was still in the driveway. She told me at breakfast that she was leaving early for a property showing in Salem, about 45 minutes south. But there she was, pulling out of our driveway at 8:15, looking flustered. I pulled up beside her at the stop sign, rolled down my window. "Thought you left already?" She startled, visibly. Yeah, I forgot some paperwork. Just grabbed it." "You okay? You look stressed." "Fine. Just running late now." She gave me a tight smile and drove off. Something about that interaction stuck with me all day. The way she looked panicked. The way her story didn't quite make sense. That evening, Emma dropped a toy in Sarah's car, some little plastic dinosaur, and I helped her look for it. Opened the glove compartment. There was a second phone, not Sarah's usual black iPhone. This one was in a pink case, and even though it was locked, I could see the wallpaper through the lock screen. Sarah, wearing a blue sundress I'd never seen, standing next to a man. His face was cropped out of the frame, but I could see his arm around her waist. My hands went numb. I took a photo of it with my phone, then carefully put it back exactly where I'd found it. Emma was still digging around in the back seat, oblivious. "Found it, Daddy!" she yelled, holding up the dinosaur triumphantly. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay there next to Sarah, listening to her breathe, and my mind was racing through every little thing I'd dismissed over the past year. The Thursday night trips. They'd started about 8 or 9 months ago. Early Friday showings in Salem, she'd said. Made sense. Salem was a smaller market, less competition, and Fridays were good for buyers. She'd leave Thursday evening, stay overnight, and come back Friday afternoon. It happened almost every week. But now I was thinking about other things. The new lingerie I'd never seen her wear. The unexplained charges on our joint credit card. $300, $400, $500 labeled as miscellaneous business expenses. The way she'd changed her phone passcode. We used to share everything. Her code used to be Emma's birthday. Now it was something else. And when I'd asked about it once, she'd said her phone had made her change it for security reasons. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to know more. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. The fourth therapy session happened in late March. Sarah was particularly emotional that day. She talked about feeling like she was losing herself in our marriage, like she'd given up so much of who she was to be a wife and mother. Dr. Hayes suggested exploring individual needs, finding time for self-care. It all sounded reasonable. Except Sarah's purse kept buzzing loudly, and at one point she grabbed it and silenced it with trembling hands. Dr. Hayes asked if she needed to check it. "No," Sarah said quickly, "it's just work." But I saw the look on her face. That wasn't work, that was panic. After that session, standing in the parking lot watching Sarah drive away, I made my decision. I was going to find out everything, all of it. No more ignoring red flags, no more giving her the benefit of the doubt. April became my month of investigation. I started with the iPad we shared for household stuff, recipes, Emma's school calendar, that kind of thing. Sarah sometimes took it on trips, and I knew it had location services enabled. I set up tracking. That first Thursday in April, I watched the little blue dot drive from Portland to Salem, then stop at an address. 847 Willow Creek Apartment, 204. It stayed there all night. I Google mapped it. Modern apartment complex, nice area. Why would Sarah be at an apartment instead of a hotel? I created a fake Zillow account and searched Sarah's name. Found her professional profile, standard headshot, list of properties sold, glowing reviews. But then I tried a different search. Sarah Mitchell Salem. Nothing. Sarah Porter Salem. Sarah Porter was her maiden name. That's when I found them. Alternative social media accounts. Instagram, Sarah Porter ROR. Facebook, Sarah Porter. The profiles weren't private. I scrolled through months of photos. Sarah at restaurants I didn't recognize. Sarah at a farmer's market. Sarah at a park, laughing. And in many of them, there was a man. Tall, dark hair, maybe late 30s. One photo had a caption, "Brunch with my favorite person," with a heart emoji. Posted 3 months ago. I sat in my home office, staring at my computer screen, and felt my entire world tilt. This wasn't just an affair. This was a whole separate life. She was using her maiden name. She was posting publicly like she was single or divorced. And this guy, whoever he was all over her social media. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash something. Instead, I saved screenshots, hundreds of them. Every post, every photo, every comment. Then I called in sick to work the next Thursday and drove to Salem. I parked across the street from 847 Willow Creek and waited. At 7:03 p.m., Sarah's car pulled into the lot, and right behind her, a silver BMW. A man got out, the same man from the photos. He walked up to Sarah, pulled her into a kiss, and they went inside together. Second floor, apartment 204. The lights came on, curtains closed. I sat in my car until 11 o'clock. I couldn't leave, but I couldn't stay. Every fiber of my body wanted to storm up there and break down the door, but I didn't, because I needed more than just seeing them together. I needed documentation. I needed proof that would hold up legally. I called my best friend Marcus that night, sitting in a Denny's parking lot, shaking. "Marcus, I need help," I said when he answered. "I think Sarah's cheating." "What? Ryan, are you sure?" I told him everything. The second phone, the social media accounts, the apartment in Salem, what I'd just witnessed. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You need a lawyer and a private investigator." I know a guy, former cop. He's good, discreet. Let me make some calls." 2 days later, I met Steve Dalton at a coffee shop. Steve was in his 50s, gruff, no nonsense. I handed him everything I had. "I need to know exactly what's going on," I said. "Timeline, finances, who this guy is, everything." "Give me 2 weeks," Steve said. Those 2 weeks felt like 2 years. I went to work, I came home, I helped Emma with homework. I smiled at Sarah over dinner. I went to therapy session 5 and said nothing while Sarah talked about how I seemed checked out lately. Dr. Hayes asked what was going on with me. I looked right at Sarah and said, "I've been doing a lot of thinking and listening." Sarah's face flickered with something, nervousness, fear? I couldn't tell. Steve called me on a Tuesday. "I've got everything. Meet me tomorrow." The report was devastating. Daniel Crawford, 39, real estate developer, divorced 3 years ago, no kids. The apartment was in his name, but Sarah was listed as a co-tenant, had been for 8 months. Steve had pulled bank records with my authorization. Sarah had been siphoning $500 to $700 a month from our joint account, categorized as business expenses. He had photos, video footage from a trail camera he'd set up in the parking lot, timestamps of Sarah's comings and goings. He'd even tracked her social media's activity, 300 followers on her Salem account, most of them people I'd never heard of. "She's been living a double life," Steve said, sliding the folder across the table. "Full-on parallel existence. My guess? She's been telling him you're separated or divorcing. That's usually how this goes." "How long has this been going on?" "Based on the apartment lease and social media, 10, maybe 11 months. Started around last May or June." Almost a year. She'd been doing this for almost a year. I went home that night and told Sarah I wanted to plan a special date night. She looked surprised but pleased. "Really?" "Yeah," I said, smiling. "I feel like we're making progress in therapy. I want to celebrate that." She hugged me. "I love you, Ryan." I hugged her back and felt absolutely nothing. Over the next week, I prepared. I organized every piece of evidence into a single document. 60 pages, meticulously sourced. Screenshots, photos, financial records, timeline, witness statements from Steve, the apartment lease, everything. I also compiled a 3-minute video. Silent footage of Sarah arriving at the apartment, Daniel greeting her, the kiss, them entering together. Multiple Thursday nights, all time-stamped. I met with a divorce attorney, Rebecca Coleman, and laid it all out. She was impressed. "This is some of the most thorough documentation I've ever seen," she said. "I'm a forensic accountant," I said. "Details are kind of my thing." "Well, you've built a strong case. Oregon is no fault, so the adultery won't matter much for asset division. But for custody? This level of deception, the financial dishonesty, the instability, you've got a solid argument for primary custody." "That's what I want. I want Emma with me. I want Sarah to face consequences." Rebecca nodded. "We'll make that happen." The 6th therapy session was scheduled for June 14th. I marked it on my calendar, circled it in red. That was going to be the day. The morning of June 14th, I woke up early. Sarah was still asleep beside me. I looked at her face, the face I'd loved for 12 years, and thought, "I don't know you. I don't know who you are." I got Emma ready for school, made her lunch, dropped her off. Sarah came downstairs around 8, already dressed, cheerful. "Big day," she said, pouring coffee. "Therapy at 3. I think we're really making progress, don't you?" "Yeah," I said. "I think today's going to be revealing." She didn't catch the double meaning. I left work at 2 p.m. and met Marcus for coffee. "You sure about this?" he asked. "I need her to see that I know," I said. All of it. Not just that she cheated, that I know about the apartment, the fake name, the whole second life. I need her to understand that I've been watching this entire time. And you're doing this in front of the therapist? I need a witness, someone neutral, someone who's been listening to her lie for 5 weeks. Marcus gripped my shoulder. Good luck, man. I arrived at Dr. Hayes' office at 2:50 p.m. My laptop was in my messenger bag along with an HDMI cable. Sarah showed up at 2:55, smiling at me as she sat down. We made small talk until Dr. Hayes opened her office door at 3 on the dot. Sarah, Ryan, come in. We sat on the couch, same couch we'd sat on for 5 sessions. Dr. Hayes settled into her chair, crossed her legs, smiled warmly. So, how has your week been? Sarah started. Better, actually. We had a nice date night. I feel like we're reconnecting. Dr. Hayes looked at me. Ryan, how are you feeling? Clear, I said. I have a lot of clarity now. Dr. Hayes smiled. That's wonderful. It sounds like you're both putting in the work. I set my bag down, pulled out my laptop. Dr. Hayes, would it be okay if I used your projector? I have something I'd like to share, something visual. She looked surprised but nodded. Of course, is this a presentation about your feelings? In a way, I said. Sarah looked confused, slightly worried. Ryan, what is this? I didn't answer. I pulled out the HDMI cable, walked to the projector mounted on the side wall, and connected my laptop. The screen lit up, title slide in bold black letters, The Truth About Our Marriage. Sarah's face went pale. Ryan, please, I said calmly, let me finish. I clicked to the next slide. A map of Oregon with 2 pins, Portland and Salem, a red line connecting them. Text below, Thursday nights, January through June, every week, 847 Willow Creek apartment, number 204. Sarah started shaking. Ryan, what are you doing? Dr. Hayes was frozen, staring at the screen. Next slide, screenshots of the Sarah Porter or Instagram account, photos of Sarah and Daniel at restaurants, parks, holding hands, captions visible, date night. My person. So happy. Sarah stood up. Stop, please, turn this off. I ignored her. Next slide, the apartment lease, both names visible. Move-in date, September 15th, 8 months ago. Ryan, please. Sarah was crying now, hands over her face. Next slide, financial records, highlighted transactions. $6,400 over 8 months, all marked miscellaneous business expenses. Line items showing transfers, dates, amounts. Dr. Hayes finally spoke. Ryan, I think we should... One more, I said. Next slide, text message screenshots. Sarah to Daniel. He has no idea. Therapy is working. He feels guilty now. Daniel to Sarah. When are you finally leaving him? Sarah to Daniel. I need a few more months to set things up financially. Sarah collapsed back onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. Stop, stop, stop. Final slide. The video. 3 minutes. Silent. Sarah's car pulling into the apartment complex. Daniel's BMW behind her. Him getting out, greeting her with a kiss. Them walking inside together, hand in hand. Lights turning on in apartment 204. Multiple clips, different Thursday nights, all time stamped. The screen went black. The room was completely silent except for Sarah's crying. Dr. Hayes looked like she'd been hit by a truck. I closed my laptop and put it back in my bag. I came to 6 sessions, I said quietly, my voice steady despite the rage and grief roiling inside me. I listened to you cry about our marriage. I watched you blame me for your unhappiness. You told this therapist that I don't listen, that I'm not emotionally available, that I'm not trying. And the whole time, you were living a completely separate life, with a separate name, a separate apartment, a separate man who thinks you're getting divorced. Ryan, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, I don't know what happened. Sarah reached for me. I stepped back. I wanted to hear you say it, in front of someone who's supposed to help couples tell the truth. I thought maybe if you had a witness, you'd finally be honest. But you never would have, would you? You were going to keep lying, keep playing the victim, keep making me think I was the problem. Please, we can fix this. I'll end it. I'll do anything. There's nothing to fix. You already built a new life, Sarah. Now you get to live in it without me. I turned to Dr. Hayes. I'm sorry you had to see this. Thank you for your time. Dr. Hayes just nodded, her eyes glistening. Ryan, I'm so sorry. I walked to the door. My hand was on the handle when Sarah choked out, Where am I supposed to go? I turned back one last time. My voice finally cracked. I don't know, Sarah. Maybe that apartment in Salem. Maybe Daniel's place. I really don't care anymore. But Emma's at my parents' house, and I'm going to pick her up in an hour. I want you out of our house before I get back. Ryan, I love you. You love me? I stared at her, and for the first time I let myself feel the full weight of what she'd done. You don't even know who I am anymore, and I sure as hell don't know you. I walked out, closed the door gently behind me, walked down the hallway, down the stairs, out to the parking lot, got in my car, gripped the steering wheel with both hands, and finally, for the first time since I'd found that second phone, I let myself cry. I sat in that parking lot for 20 minutes before I could drive. 10 years, a daughter, a house, a life I thought was real. And in 47 slides, it was over. But here's the thing about endings. They're just beginnings in disguise. And what came next was something Sarah could never have prepared for. I drove to Marcus and Julia's house where Emma was having a play date with their kids. Marcus took one look at my face and said, How'd it go? It's done. Julia came over and hugged me. Oh, Ryan, I'm so sorry. I need a place to stay tonight. Just one night with Emma. Stay as long as you need, Marcus said. I picked Emma up, told her we were having a special sleepover at Uncle Marcus's house. She was thrilled. Kids are resilient that way. They don't see the cracks until you point them out. While Emma was playing video games with Marcus's kids, I got an alert on my phone. Sarah's location, still trackable through the shared iPad, showed her leaving our house. I waited an hour, then drove home. Her car was gone. Some of her clothes were gone from the closet, but most of her stuff was still there. She'd grabbed what she could fit in her car and left. I called an emergency locksmith, had all the locks changed by midnight. The next morning, I met with Rebecca Coleman, the divorce attorney, gave her the full evidence folder. She paged through it methodically, occasionally pausing to make notes. When she finished, she looked up at me. This is extraordinary work, Ryan. Most people come in with a few suspicious texts. You've built a federal case. I want full custody of Emma, and I want her to pay. Oregon is no fault for divorce, so the adultery itself won't impact asset division much. But custody? Between the deception, the financial dishonesty, the double life. We can absolutely argue that she's demonstrated poor judgment and instability. I think we have a strong shot at primary custody. We spent 2 hours mapping out strategy, file for divorce immediately, request temporary full custody, financial audit to recover the siphoned funds, prepare for a fight because Sarah would have a lawyer too, and that lawyer would try to paint me as vindictive. Over the next week, Sarah tried to contact me, 47 missed calls in 3 days, over 100 texts. Please let me explain. I made a mistake. Think about Emma. We're a family. I ended it with Daniel, please. I responded once. My lawyer will contact you. Do not come to the house. Do not contact Emma. She showed up anyway, rang the doorbell for 10 minutes straight, crying. I watched through the window, but didn't answer. My neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, called over asking if everything was okay. Sarah, embarrassed, said she'd locked herself out. Then she left. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not guilt, nothing. Just a kind of hollow emptiness where 10 years of love used to be. Rebecca filed for divorce on June 20th. The papers were served to Sarah at her real estate office. Public, humiliating. Her co-workers saw the process server. I know because Steve Dalton, my PI, was still keeping tabs. I also made a calculated move. I called Daniel Crawford. Got his number from the PI report. Daniel Crawford? I said when he answered. He went, yeah, who's this? Ryan Mitchell, Sarah's husband. Her current, still married husband. Long pause. What? She's not separated. We live together, have been for 10 years. We have a 6-year-old daughter. Sarah comes home from your place every Friday and sleeps in our bed. Did she mention that? She told me you were divorced. She said the papers were almost finalized. I filed for divorce 6 days ago. That's how divorced we were. I could hear him breathing heavily. Are you fucking kidding me? I thought you should know who you were involved with, I said. Do with that information what you will. I hung up. 2 days later, Steve reported that Daniel had changed the locks on the apartment. Sarah's belongings were in the hallway. That gave me a grim satisfaction. She'd lost both of us in 1 week, but I wasn't done. I needed people to know the truth, not in a messy social media blast that would hurt Emma, but strategically. I met with Sarah's parents, Nathan and Linda Porter, at a quiet coffee shop. They'd always been kind to me, and I didn't want them blindsided. I brought an edited version of the evidence, enough to prove what happened without being gratuitously hurtful. Linda tried to defend her daughter at first. There must be a misunderstanding. I slid the apartment lease across the table. There's no misunderstanding. Nathan went pale reading it. We raised her better than this. I'm not here to make you choose sides, I said. I'm here so you understand why I'm doing this, and so Emma has grandparents who know the truth. Linda cried. Nathan put his head in his hands, but they understood. I did something similar with our shared friend group. Invited the 6 or 7 couples we were closest with to a gathering at Marcus's house. Explained the situation factually, clinically, showed them enough evidence that they couldn't doubt me. The reactions ranged from shock to anger to sympathy, but overwhelmingly they sided with me. Sarah had just lost her entire social circle. The preliminary custody hearing happened in mid-July. Sarah's lawyer argued that I'd ambushed her in therapy, violated a safe space. Rebecca countered that Oregon is a one-party consent state. My recording was completely legal. The judge, an older woman named Patricia Brennan, looked exhausted by the whole thing. Mr. Mitchell acted within his rights, Judge Brennan said. However, the manner was unconventional. She granted temporary shared custody, 50-50, until the full hearing in September. I was frustrated. I'd wanted full custody immediately. But Rebecca explained that judges prefer shared custody initially unless there's active danger. We need to show that she's currently unstable, Rebecca said. Document everything. So that's what I did. Every late pickup, every missed phone call to Emma, every erratic behavior, I kept meticulous records. And Sarah started to unravel. The first week after the custody ruling, she showed up drunk at my new apartment. I was renting a 2-bedroom near Emma's school. My doorbell camera caught everything. Sarah stumbling on the doorstep, slurring her words, pounding on the door. Ryan, please, just talk to me. I didn't open the door. She started posting cryptic things on social media, vague quotes about betrayal and judgment. Some friends offered support. Others quietly unfollowed her. Then she missed her first custody exchange. She was supposed to pick Emma up at 6 on a Friday. By 8:30, she still hadn't shown up. Emma was confused and upset. Where's Mommy? She's running late, sweetheart, I said, texting Sarah furiously. She showed up at 8:45, eyes red, claiming her car had broken down. But there was nothing wrong with her car. I documented everything. The breaking point came in mid-August. Emma and I were driving home from school when she asked, Daddy, why doesn't Mommy live with us anymore? My heart clenched. Sometimes grown-ups need to live in different houses, but we both love you so much. Did Mommy do something bad? I chose my words carefully. Mommy made some choices that hurt our family, but that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. Emma was quiet for a moment. I miss when we were all together. I had to pull over because my eyes were blurring with tears. That's when I knew with absolute certainty that I'd done the right thing, not for revenge, for her, to protect her from growing up in a house built on lies. Around that same time, my PI uncovered something else. Sarah had been listing the Salem apartment as an investment property on her real estate portfolio. The problem? She didn't own it. Daniel did. She'd been using it for client meetings, presenting it as her own property. That's a massive ethical violation in real estate. I sent an anonymous tip to her brokerage's ethics board. Just the facts. The lease showing she wasn't the owner, the timeline, the misrepresentation. Within a week, Sarah was suspended pending investigation. 2 weeks later, she was terminated. She called me, hysterical. Did you do this? Did you destroy my career? I didn't destroy anything, I said coldly. You did. Every single piece of this is your own doing. The full custody hearing happened on September 12th at Multnomah County Courthouse. It was brutal. Rebecca presented our case over 2 hours. The timeline of the affair, the financial deception, the therapy session recording, the missed custody exchanges, the doorbell footage of Sarah drunk, character witnesses, Marcus, Julia, Emma's school counselor, who testified that Emma seemed more stable and secure in my care. And then we had Dr. Rebecca Hayes on the stand. She'd been subpoenaed. She looked deeply uncomfortable. Dr. Hayes, Rebecca said, in your 20 years of practice, have you ever witnessed a session like the one on June 14th? No, Dr. Hayes said quietly. I have not. And based on your professional observation, was Mrs. Mitchell being truthful about the state of her marriage during the previous 5 sessions? Sarah's lawyer objected, but the judge allowed it. Dr. Hayes hesitated, then said, based on what I learned that day, no, she was not being truthful. Sarah took the stand and cried, apologized, said she loved Emma and just wanted to be a good mother. Her lawyer tried to paint me as manipulative and vindictive, but Judge Brennan had seen the evidence. At the end of the day, she delivered her ruling. Based on the extensive evidence presented, the prolonged deception, the financial misconduct, and the recent pattern of unreliability, I am awarding primary physical custody to Mr. Mitchell. The breakdown, I got 75% custody. Sarah got every other weekend, supervised initially, and she owed me $850 a month in child support. Sarah collapsed in her chair. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder. I felt nothing, no triumph, just exhaustion. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca congratulated me. This is a huge win, Ryan. It doesn't feel like winning, I said. Over the next month, the fallout continued. Sarah lost her real estate license, not permanently, but her reputation was destroyed. She couldn't get hired anywhere in Portland real estate. She ended up applying for admin jobs, retail positions. Her parents eventually reconciled with her, but the relationship was strained. Most of our friend group had cut ties. She moved into a cheap 1-bedroom apartment, drowning in legal debt. And me, I was surviving. Not thriving, just existing. Going through the motions. Work, Emma, sleep, repeat. Then, in early November, something happened that shook me. Sarah missed a supervised visit. The court-appointed supervisor called. Ms. Mitchell didn't show up. I tried calling Sarah, no answer. I called Nathan and Linda. They hadn't heard from her in 3 days. The next morning, Nathan called me. Ryan, Sarah's in the hospital. My blood went cold. What happened? She took some pills, not enough to... His voice broke. They're keeping her for observation. She left a note. I drove to Providence Portland Medical Center in a daze. Saw Sarah through the ICU window, pale and hooked to an IV. Nathan and Linda were in the waiting room. Linda looked at me with pure venom. Are you happy now? You destroyed her. I didn't do this, I said quietly. She did. Nathan, looking older than I'd ever seen him, said, Ryan, please. She's still Emma's mother. I sat down, put my head in my hands, and for the first time since that therapy session, I felt something other than anger or numbness. I felt guilt. Had I pushed her to this by taking everything away? I called Marcus from the parking lot. Did I do this? Ryan, no. She made her choices. You protected Emma. But what if Emma finds out her mom tried to because of me? This isn't on you, man. Sarah needs help. That's not your fault. 2 days later, after Sarah was moved to the psychiatric ward, I visited her, against my lawyer's advice. Why are you here? Sarah asked. She looked like a ghost. Nathan called. I wanted to make sure you're okay. Okay? She laughed bitterly. I lost everything. My job, my friends, my daughter. Because of you. No, I said firmly. Because of you. I didn't make you cheat. I didn't make you lie for 8 months. I just stopped enabling it. She started crying. I don't know how to live with what I did. Emma needs you alive, Sarah. Even if you're not in her life every day, she needs to know her mom is okay. How can she ever forgive me? I don't know, but killing yourself isn't the answer. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then I said, get help, real help. Therapy, medication, whatever it takes, not for me, for Emma. She nodded. I left feeling conflicted. I hated her. I pitied her. I wanted her gone. I wanted her to be okay, all at once. A few weeks later, one couple from our friend group, Ethan and Claire, reached out. They suggested I ease up on the custody arrangement, let Sarah see Emma more. She's in a really bad place, Claire said. That's for the court to decide, I said. Not me, not you. We're just worried. Were you there when I found out? I cut her off. Were you there when I sat in that parking lot and realized 10 years of my life was a lie? No. So don't tell me how to handle this. I lost them as friends, added them to the growing list. Thanksgiving was awkward. Emma split time between families. Sarah's parents were cold to me. Emma came back Saturday, quieter than usual. Did you have fun at Grandma Porter's? I asked. Mommy cried a lot, Emma said. My heart sank. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Because of you. I didn't know how to answer that. It's complicated. Around that same time, I overheard some gossip at Emma's soccer practice. One mom to another. I heard he recorded her in therapy without telling her. That's kind of messed up. I realized I'd never win. If I'd done nothing, I'm a doormat. If I fought back, I'm cruel. But then, in early December, something shifted. Emma brought home a school art project, a family tree. She'd drawn 3 separate trees, one for me, one for her, one for Sarah, small and bare, off to the side. The teacher showed me. I wanted you to see this before we display it. I looked at the drawing and realized Emma was processing all of this too, and my anger, my pain, was shaping her understanding of her own family. I made a decision, not for Sarah, not for me, for Emma. I called Rebecca. I want to modify the custody arrangement informally. Sarah can have Emma every other weekend, unsupervised, as long as she stays in therapy and takes her medication. Ryan, are you sure? This isn't about Sarah. It's about Emma. She needs to know her mom is trying. I called Sarah. First non-hostile conversation we'd had in months. I want to modify custody, I said. What? She sounded shocked. Every other weekend, unsupervised, you and Emma. But you have to stay in therapy and on your meds. You miss one session, we go back to supervised. Ryan, Her voice broke. Thank you. I won't mess this up. This isn't for you. It's for Emma. The first unsupervised weekend happened in mid-February. Sarah picked Emma up at my door. It was awkward, painful, but civil. 6 p.m. Sunday, I said. Don't be late. I won't. Sunday, 5:55 p.m., Sarah returned Emma 5 minutes early. I was shocked. You're early. I didn't want to worry you, she said. Small progress, but progress. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my own life. I joined a rec basketball league, something I'd loved in my 20s but stopped after marriage. Started reading again, fantasy novels, old escapes, got promoted at work to finance manager, $15,000 raise, started saving for Emma's college fund. And then in March, I met Claire. Not that Claire, different Claire, Claire Donovan. Emma's soccer season started up again, and a new family joined. Claire's daughter Sophie was 7, sweet kid, naturally talented. Claire was 34, elementary school teacher, warm and kind. We'd chat at practice. One day she mentioned her husband had died 2 years ago. Car accident. We moved here for a fresh start, she said. I'm so sorry, I said. Thank you. We're doing okay. Over the next few weeks, we talked more. Nothing romantic, just genuine connection. Someone who understood loss. Emma's 7th birthday was March 22nd. I threw a party at my apartment, invited her school friends, Marcus and Julia, my parents. And I invited Sarah. She came, stayed an hour, behaved appropriately. Emma was happy to see her. When Emma blew out her candles, she said, I wish for everyone to be happy. I looked around the room, Sarah in the corner, looking fragile but present. My parents, supportive. Emma, beaming. And I thought, happiness isn't a destination. It's these small moments. That night, alone on my balcony, I called Marcus. You doing okay? He asked. Yeah, I said, and I meant it. I think I am. That's good, man. You've been through hell. We both have, Sarah and me. We destroyed each other. But Emma's okay. That's what matters. You're a good dad, Ryan. I'm trying. Now it's December again. 18 months since that therapy session. I'm sitting in my apartment, Christmas tree up, Emma decorating it. She's singing to herself, happy. Nathan called earlier, gave me an update on Sarah. She got a job, admin work at a nonprofit. She's stable. Good, I said. I'm glad. She wanted me to tell you she's sorry, really sorry. I know, I said. Tell her I hope she finds peace. You too, Ryan. Merry Christmas. Emma asked if Sarah could come over for Christmas. I explained Sarah was spending it with her grandparents, but we'd send a picture. We took a photo of Emma in front of the tree, sent it to Sarah. She replied, She's beautiful. Thank you for this. Merry Christmas, Ryan. Later that evening, Claire and Sophie came over for Christmas Eve dinner. Emma and Sophie ran off to play. Claire and I made hot cocoa, talked about our years, our kids, our losses. Thank you for inviting us, Claire said. Holidays are hard. I get it, I said. I'm glad you're here. We smiled at each other. Nothing more, just potential. After they left and Emma was asleep, I sat in the living room, tree lights glowing softly, and I thought about everything. People ask if I regret what I did. If I regret bringing that evidence to therapy. If I regret destroying her life. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I could have handled it differently. Maybe I went too far. But I did what I thought I had to do to protect Emma and to protect myself. Sarah's life isn't destroyed. It's different, smaller. But she's alive. She's trying. Emma gets to have a mom who's working on being better. That matters. As for me, I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm not even the same person I was in that therapy room. I'm someone who knows what it's like to lose everything and build it back from nothing. I'm a father, a friend. Maybe someday I'll be someone's partner again, but not yet. Not until I'm sure I know who I am without someone else defining me. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But no one tells you what it tastes like after. It's not sweet. It's not satisfying. It's just over. And then you have to figure out what comes next. For me, it's this. A Christmas tree. a daughter who laughs again, an ex-wife who's getting help, and the possibility that somewhere down the line, I'll find someone who doesn't need me to fix them or save them or prove anything. Just someone who sees me, the real me, the one I'm still figuring out. I look at a photo on my phone, Emma's birthday party from March, everyone in frame, Sarah in the background, fragile but present, Claire and Sophie, recent additions. Emma in the center, beaming. I thought I knew her completely. I was living with a stranger. But the strangest part? I was a stranger to myself too. Now we're both finding our way back. Separately, as it should be. I turn off the tree lights and head to bed. Tomorrow, Emma and I are going ice skating, then hot chocolate, then maybe a movie, small moments. That's all life is, really. And for the first time in a long time, that's enough.